Well, hello there, Winwood Church family. It is awfully good to get to connect with you in this way and start our week off on the right foot with our Monday devotional thought as we try to get our minds and our spirits pointed towards the Lord. I'm recording this Sunday night after really what has turned out to be a pretty good Easter, and just been kind of down on my desk thinking about the day. And I, like a lot of people, began with the thought of, oh, this is going to be so different. It's going to be so different. And I'll freely admit it was different in some ways. I don't remember an Easter in my lifetime that I have not attended church or been at church in a church building for an Easter service to where I did not dress up in particularly nice clothes. And for the last several years, I've, church staff. So Easter was like our big day, and man, when I would wake up on Easter Sunday, the adrenaline would start flowing. I'd be out the door ready for our big day and the big push we had made for worship. And don't get me wrong, I got my work done. I had my Easter sermon ready, and I had given it my best. But this morning I woke up at a slower pace, and we had breakfast and had a relaxing day around the house. And yeah, it was a little different, but there was a lot of familiarity there, church. I still spend a lot of the day off and on reflecting on the difference that Jesus Christ has made in my life, and the difference that the fact that he died to pay the price for my sins, but then he rose from the dead so that he can connect with me here on earth, but for all eternity. How big of a change that makes in my life. How important that is to my day-to-day living. And that was the thought that just flew in and out of my thinking about all day long. I still spent the day with people I love, reflecting together at times on the resurrection. I'll still probably go to bed thinking about how good God is to us, church. So, was Easter a little different? Yeah, sure it was. Was it still awfully familiar? Yeah, it was. And I hope that you feel the same way too. Now, our beginning of the week devotional thought, it's moving right along in Exodus, and really a lot of these are coming from what I am learning in my own Bible and reading and Bible study time. And so I'm going to read a verse and talk to you all about an idea that I was reminded of and that hit me a couple nights ago. And it comes out of Exodus 23, verses 28 through 30. And here it records God saying, I will send hornets in front of you, and they will drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites away from you. That sounds scary, church. I will not drive them out ahead of you in a single year. Otherwise, the land would become desolate and wild animals would multiply against you. I will drive them out little by little ahead of you until you have become numerous and take possession of the land. Now, church, as I read that the other night, I'll admit that I kind of was reading along and I read through that, and like I said, I don't like the sound of hornets. That sounds painful. But beyond that, I just kind of read right by it, and then I got a few verses down. I'm like, now wait a minute. Let me backtrack there. Because when we read about that, God saying that I'm going to drive people out of the land that you're going to inhabit, and I'm going to do it little by little, because if I do it all at once, it's going to have this other effect that's going to be bad for you. Man, guys, God has a plan for your life, and that is something that I try to champion as we talk, that God has got a plan for our church, and he's got a plan for your life as an individual. But as I read that, I was reminded, one, that God's plan is detailed. See, when God looks at my life, he doesn't say, oh yeah, Tim's going to go do something for me. He'll sort it out, though. No, God's known for a long time, all my life, maybe all of eternity, what he wants me to accomplish, how he wants to work through me, what he wants to teach me. all the ways he's going to bless me, all the challenges I'm going to face, and all the way that's going to work together, and that he's going to mold that to make an impact through my life. And so that I can have a role in building his kingdom. God knows in detail what he wants to do through me. But one thing that hit me even greater is that God knows exactly what he's doing. God knew that when he was going to give the Israelites the land, that the other inhabitants had to leave. So he was going to drive them out. But he also knew that if he did it all at once, it wasn't going to be best, because the land would become desolate and it would have another negative impact. God knows exactly what he's doing. When we think about the fact that God has a plan and God is at work around us, and when we look at situations that we want for God to work in, situations in our church, when we look at our revitalization process, and when we look towards our future, and when we say, okay, God, we want you to do something through us, use us to make a difference in our lives. We know you have a dream for us that you want. Help us to be a part of it. God knows exactly how to pull that off. He really does. He knows exactly what has to happen. He knows exactly what we have to learn. He knows who has to come our way. He knows what opportunities we have to go grab onto. God knows exactly what he's doing for our church. And he knows exactly in Tim's life and in your life what he's doing. He knows what he wants to accomplish. He knows the plans he has for you and for me. But he also knows exactly what has to happen to see those plans accomplished. Man, how many times have you had someone look over your shoulder when you knew what you were doing, but they didn't know what you were doing or how to do it, but they're still second guessing you? Maybe we all have. At times before, it's been my kids, and I'll be working on a project, or I'll be working on something on a vehicle or around the house, and they'll come along, well, why don't you do it like this? Why are you doing it like this? Why? Have you thought about, right? We've all had someone do that. But church, sometimes we do that to God, because God knows what he's doing. And sometimes we come along and go, well, God, have you thought about doing it like this? Well, God, why aren't you doing it like this? God, why are you taking so long? God, wouldn't it be great if you did this? No, God knows exactly what he's doing. And we need to let him be God and just take care of being us and being obedient and being a part of what God wants to do. Church, I know that's hard. I know when you look at your life and say, God, I want you to do something here. When you look at a situation and say, God, I need you to move, we know what we want to see happen. Sometimes we see God at work and we say, okay, God, I see you're working, but why don't you speed it up a bit? Why don't you work like this? Why does it have to be this way, not that way? Church, I know it's hard. I get it. But God knows what he's doing. God knows what he's up to. And we need to just trust him to accomplish the plan that he has for us. And we'll be obedient with our part, knowing that what he has in mind is better than anything we could dream up on for our lives on our own. Church, I hope this idea gives you something to think about and to apply to your lives this week. I hope that you, and I hope that I, will be a little bit better this coming week at trusting God to accomplish the plan he has for our lives, knowing that his plan and his timetable and his methods are far better and will yield a far greater result than we could come up with on our own. Have a great week, church, and I look forward to seeing y'all real soon.